Welcome back to yet another installment of New Eden's ongoing catastrophe. We're here with the latest developments from across the cluster, where drama continues to outpace common sense. The borders of New Eden are tearing themselves apart. Alliances are fracturing from every angle. Coalitions are splintering, and entire stretches of space are being wiped clean. All while complaints roll in faster than the kill mails can load. Out in Nullsec, Goonswarm's newly appointed Vanguard Sig is undocking daily to throw hands with TEST and Fraternity, stacking battle reports and flipping timers, offering a live demonstration of what war looks like when ships actually leave tether. Meanwhile, up in Hisec, the war refuses to die. The so-called Care Bears dropped the act, declared war on half the cluster, and promptly had those targets come knocking on their front door. Synergy of Steel continues to fracture as their staging Keepstar timer edges closer to detonation. Over in Ahbazon, the famously quiet system that is absolutely not known for smartbomb gatecamps was feeding a dreadnought to satisfy the hunger of low-sec pilots, all while we work our way through a growing pile of news in between. So settle in and enjoy the mess, as we dive into the impeachment of presidents, community highlights, and a glimpse into the future. Because this is Warlock Industries, providing cinematic battles and semi-reliable reporting, straight from the front line. Previous segment, we covered what qualified as a major clash by Hisec standards, with fleets trading blows over war declarations. By the time of the latest engagement, resistance had largely evaporated. The grid fell silent, broken only by a few defenders and the occasional late arrival, warping in just in time to be erased. The structure was promptly destroyed, and unsurprisingly, the war declarations kept rolling. In New Eden, it's a cycle that never really ends. For those unfamiliar with these mechanics and why they play such an important role, it all starts with Concord. In high-security space, illegal attacks are punished immediately, creating the environment that allows trade hubs, industry, public events, and everyday travel to function without constant violence. Unlike Lowsec, where only gates and stations respond, or Nullsec, where there is no enforcement at all, Hisec operates under strict rules. Those rules are what make it the backbone of New Eden's economy and the reason so much activity funnels through these systems. Some corporations build their entire playstyle around bending those rules. Through war declarations, they can legally target other corporations and alliances that own structures, turning normally safe trade routes into valid hunting grounds. Once war is active, Concord steps aside, and anyone involved becomes fair game. It's a mechanic designed to create conflict, but one that's often pushed to its limits, allowing pirate behavior without ever leaving high-security space. While most of the cluster operates under predictable security rules, some regions strip those protections away completely. Wormhole space offers no local intel, no stargates, and no second chances. If your clone dies, you'll pop back up into the lovely regions of New Eden. And unless someone lets you back in, you stay out. And that is how this next story unfolds. Not long ago, we covered a group evicting a smaller corporation from a C2 wormhole over capital ships. This time, the roles were now reversed. Fleets slipped in quietly, structures were anchored as forward bases, and an eviction began to form. Confusion followed, blame was deflected, and then a recorded exchange between both sides surfaced, an audio log that removed any remaining doubt.
Oh no, they're all staying close. No one is getting out alive. Like, they can leave everything in the pods and just pop themselves out, or everyone is gonna die. You guys made a choice to be here, you will die. Like, you're here, right? Like, you're on my doorstep. Like, we're not leaving everyone just go free. You guys are here for a choice, you made your bed, and now you have to lie in it. And that's gonna be dead.
It's the idea you can leave the wormhole in the sense that, like, stop the eviction attempt entirely, or you can warp into us as we kill you essentially on it. But at this point, it's been enough of a drama for us that if nothing else, we want kill mails out of our weekend. We also had things we wanted to be doing throughout it. And
like,
yeah,
you guys wasted like 12 hours, 13 hours of our time. Like, at least you can feed some kill mails. That's it. But again, wish you good luck and Eve.
The reality set in. This wasn't random. This was personal. Years earlier, a former member had been kicked and evicted after stealing billions in assets, and the grudge never faded from that individual. Years later, it resurfaced, paid for in favors, pilots, and eviction fleets, turning old history into a present threat. Because in wormhole space, nothing is forgotten. Nothing is forgiven, and every past action eventually finds its way home. What became clear to the invaders was simple and unmistakable. Anyone who dares to attempt an eviction here does so at their own risk. Push too far, and the response will be immediate. And with that, this chapter closes, at least for now. Which brings us to the main event of the evening. Goonswarm is once again punching its way across contested regions, colliding daily with TEST Alliance and Fraternity, and igniting fresh conflict along the borders of Geminate, with the bulk of battles happening inside the system of Atioth. Goonswarm's newly appointed Vanguard Sig, they wasted no time stirring things up in Atioth and nearby systems, poking Fraternity and TEST Alliance daily while brawling over moon drills. TEST Alliance, after a long year of recruiting ads and promises of a comeback, has now learned the downside of being noticed. The complaints started rolling in almost immediately after every brawl. The situation escalated when Goonswarm dropped a Fortizar directly on grid in Atioth to contest the residents. Pings lit up, fleets piled in, and tie-dye rolled across the system like a natural disaster. Multiple brawls broke out as time slowed to a crawl, and despite all the hype, capitals mostly stayed home, with only a few faxes making brief cameo appearances. And unlike the previous battle, where Lorgy held the line while hopelessly outgunned, kept almost the entire fleet alive, and somehow flipped the fight on its head, this time there was no miracle save. After watching TEST Alliance and Fraternity struggle through earlier fights, the tide turned hard. In this battle, Goonswarm absorbed over 90% of the losses, getting thoroughly annihilated by the opposing forces, with no one left standing, other than myself, to witness the Fortizar's destruction. Off in the distance, the attacker's structure remained standing, later renamed so future generations would never forget the memorable pilot who led their fleet straight into the blender. On the topic of large-scale wars and shifting sovereignty, New Eden is once again in motion. Multiple alliances are fracturing, relocating, or being pushed out entirely. Slow has burned through its systems, leaving little choice but to pack up and move on. At the same time, Lorne has been removed from the Imperium after 14 years of service. A surprising development, given the length of that relationship, and a personal one as well, considering Lorne was the first alliance I ever flew with, as shown in earlier segments. We also return to Synergy of Steel, whose invasion we previously covered. That conflict has now followed them home, with their staging system coming under direct pressure. What began as localized fighting has pulled in forces from across New Eden, putting their sovereignty at risk and forcing preparations to withdraw, with talks pointing toward a move into the drone lands. Moving on to other news. The Gallente president has been impeached and removed from office after a Senate inquiry uncovered abuses of power and a cover-up tied to the Automated Industry for Democracy Act, including hidden rogue drone incidents quietly funded through black budget payments. Led by Senator Lucas Tenzin, the Gallente Senate moved swiftly as support collapsed, placing the Gallente Federation under interim leadership until new elections are held. The full article goes into far more detail, but we can only assume another contributing factor was that absolutely criminal haircut, doing lasting damage to Gallente public image when compared to their otherwise sleek ship designs. We also have the Scope, coming out of their quarterly hibernation period to report on long overdue events, and reminding us that the cluster is, and always will be, on fire. Reports from across the cluster suggest the Empires are preparing for a prolonged period of open conflict, with low security space emerging as the primary battleground. Sources indicate that what began as localized faction skirmishes is evolving into a series of structured military campaigns with objectives, escalation, and long-term consequences that will ripple through all of New Eden. Officials hint that these wars will not be brief, but part of a larger connected saga, drawing capsuleers into Empire-aligned operations from the moment they undock. Industry, logistics, and frontline combat are all expected to play a role, as control of territory and influence becomes increasingly contested. Capsuleers are expected to be drawn in early and decisively, aligned with Empire interests from the moment they undock. But fighting will not be limited to space. Ground operations tied to Vanguard units are expected to feed directly into these campaigns, binding planetary combat to the wider war effort. In short, New Eden is not heading toward peace. It is organizing for a much larger war. Speaking of war, we move into the closing segment of this broadcast with a glimpse into the ongoing fighting between Goonswarm and TEST Alliance. The engagement kicked off as capitals were jumped by a swarm of Kikimoras, instantly turning the grid into chaos. In the middle of it all, a Naglfar confidently warped straight into the fight, clearly aiming to be the hero of the day, and instead secured the title of Wreck of the Day. As the Kikimoras disengaged and fled the scene, an emergency command was issued, which we can only assume was to save a friendly Rorqual. Capitals landed on grid in its defense, and the attackers were chased straight into wormhole space, where most of the remaining ships fled to safety. Shifting our attention to the Ahbazon region, a well-known pit stop for pilots seeking a quick trip home via smartbombs, a Phoenix Navy issue was fed live on stream, ready to fight and fully committed to becoming a wreck. During this little adventure, I was also filming a second fleet that happened to pass through, resulting in an awkward exchange of waves before everyone continued on to completely different disasters. That fleet, however, is a story for another time. Before we wrap things up, a few quality updates are worth highlighting. Capsuleers can now customize the color of their neocom, adding a bit more personality to their interface. With FanFest approaching, voting is now open for your favorite creators, giving you the opportunity to support them and potentially see them take home an award. This is a new initiative and is expected to become an annual tradition moving forward. Alongside the new features, I've added a link in the video description and the comment section to our Discord, so you can stop by, say hello, or request filming directly. As always, this is Warlock Industries, providing cinematic battles and semi-reliable reporting straight from the front lines.